Hey, welcome to the Vitamin B12 Podcast Extra Dose. This is your bowl preview series. With me, as always, EJ Hayes, Garrett Sauls. I am Chris Armstrong. Right now, we are talking about the Capital One Orange Bowl college football playoff semifinal, the University of Oklahoma versus Clemson. Obviously, the big story here, Big 12 is in the national title hunt. Very exciting. EJ, how are you feeling about this one?
Well, if I'm going to be quite honest with you, I wanted a Big 12 team in the playoff. I wanted to prove that we were top to bottom, extremely competitive, especially against the other Power Fives. And this year, I honestly believe, based on injury, based on how they're playing, based on overall balance, that OU was the team to represent the Big 12 in the college football playoffs. I think TCU would have struggled based on defense. I think OSU would have struggled based on our quarterback. I think Baylor obviously would have struggled based on our quarterback. Injuries to the quarterback like OSU. There's nobody else really that could have hung in that group. So I'm actually glad, one, they let the Big 12 in, and two, that it's OU. I think if, biasly, if OSU could have, won out, had a healthy quarterback, et cetera, then we could have been in that conversation, but we're not in that conversation. So, that's one thing I have to say is I'm glad that OU got us in, and I think it's the best team available.
Yeah, I mean, this is an exciting matchup. I mean, a lot of people say the best thing for the Big 12 is for OU and Texas to succeed. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but I mean, obviously OU is here because they're OU. They're going to represent us. I think they're definitely one of the best teams in college football. I legitimately believe that. And this is an interesting matchup. The playoff committee knew what they were doing when they did the rankings, because this is a rematch of last year of when OU just got completely embarrassed and run off the field by Clemson. And so this has got all the big storylines. It's obviously the playoff, that's storyline enough. It's a revenge game. You've got Brent Venables over at Clemson, who used to be over at OU. There's a lot to this game, and we'll just have to see what happens. Is Clemson for real? Maybe they should have lost that game against North Carolina. Are they really deserving of being an undefeated team? Is the ACC really that strong? Are they that good? Is the Big 12 really that good? There's just going to be a lot of questions answered with this game, and it'll be a fun one to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're about to find out. Chris, what was the line on this game? You said OU by 4. Is that right?
By 4, yep.
Yeah, so that's I don't know if that's a testament to what they think of OU or a slap in the face to Clemson, going undefeated, or both. I mean, it could be both. I'm not sure. That's just an interesting line based on Clemson semi-dominating everybody, winning the close games against good teams, showing that they can score a lot of points, showing that the defense shows up when needed, showing they can overcome rogue kickers who just like to run for it on fourth downs when they're not told to. They can overcome these things. So, and part of me, OU's one loss to Texas was, it wasn't a blowout. They lost by like one touchdown. Texas did suck, although they showed a heartbeat randomly in throughout the year. But since that loss, OU has pretty much dominated everybody. And they played a salty, not hurt Baylor. They played, they beat the crap out of Kansas State 55-0. I mean, nobody beats Bill Snyder 55-0. Nobody, especially in Manhattan. Nobody does that. So, I mean, this is I'm struggling trying to figure out, one, how OU's, picked to win, but who's going to win this game? Yep. Like, every time I think OU, I'm like, yeah, they're playing well and all this, and then I play Clemson, I'm like, gosh, they really dominated, they went undefeated. So, like, This is like national championship feel to me. Like, you don't know who's going to win. This is a cool matchup to me.
Well, even just by the numbers, putting everything else aside, the numbers are pretty similar. Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield have some similar numbers. Deshaun Watson probably edges out Baker Mayfield statistically. He's probably a bit of a better passer, but obviously Mayfield's a little more wily. But Deshaun Watson can run it too. So we're looking at some similar teams here. Aside from the quarterbacks, both teams have decent rushing attacks. Gallman for Clemson, he's got about 1,300 yards, but OU's kind of got a two-headed beast with Pirine and Mixon, who both of those guys can really get it done, and they've really emerged later on in the season. So it's safe to say both of these teams are balanced. I think it's just a matter of which one's for real. I know we're biased, and in the Big 12 we think that, yeah, of course the Big 12's for real, but I legitimately think that. I think the ACC isn't that great to begin with, and they're having not what I would call a down year this year by any means, but Florida State took a step back. I mean, North Carolina was good, but I just don't know. I like the Big 12's ability to match up with the ACC. The ACC isn't necessarily what you would think of as a defensive heavy conference. It's not like the Big 12 versus the SEC here or anything. And I don't know. This one's hard to pick. I can't blame them for picking OU. I think everyone's on the OU bandwagon right now and believing in them, and I think they can get it done too. But this is another one of those tough matchups. Who do you pick? It can go either way.
Yeah, Clemson has some decent wins. They beat number 10 North Carolina, who also plays another Big 12 school in a bowl this postseason. They finished the season out with them. Like you said, they beat Florida State, who was number 16 at the time. They did beat a number 6 Notre Dame 24-22 early in the season. So it's got there's some interesting things going on, but with both teams, just by the numbers. OU 11-1, Clemson 13-0, one out. But OU is picked as the favorite right now by 4. The over/under on this is 64. Garrett, how do you feel about the spread and also the over/under?
I think the spread's low. I think both of these teams don't play defense very well. All Deshaun Watson has to do is throw it on Zach Sanchez all game, and Clemson should score pretty handily. But similarly, Clemson's shown that they can get scored on by a team like South Carolina. So there's not much defense there. So I think that over/under is a little low. I'd probably put it more at 80. I think this is going to be like a 45-42, maybe a 42-30 something or other type of game. There's going to be a lot of points. There's going to be a lot of offense. Baker Mayfield's going to show up. He's probably going to be electric. Deshaun Watson's going to be clinical. This is going to be one of those shootouts. But I got to say, my pick for it, I do believe they're one of the best teams in the country, and I think the momentum's in their favor right now. I think they have a lot of X-factor stuff, and I think OU gets it done in a close one by either a field goal or a touchdown.
Yeah, I think OU, they've got this weird thing going where they're this, power running team and a Big 12 pass-happy team all mixed into one, which is absolutely ridiculous to, defend. That's not to say Clemson and their quarterback, is not, but Clemson has been in too many situations with their defense that's too close for comfort. And your South Carolina reference was a perfect example. They've just been too close. They were too close to losing games this year. And the only time OU was close to losing a game besides the Texas game was when Baker Mayfield went out with a concussion. Other than that, since the Texas game with Baker Mayfield, they have literally played lights out and completely dominated. So I think the over/under is actually pretty accurate. I'm going to say this is going to be, OU 40, Clemson 20s. I think OU is going to handily beat Clemson. This is not going to be a shootout. I think OU does some things, gets some turnovers early, and then just grinds it out. And on third down, Baker Mayfield does his, dancing giggity stuff, and he does his Mayfield thing, and shows why he should have won the Heisman. So
yeah, so hopefully that actually does turn out. It gets the Big 12 a shot at the national title. Big Game Bob, we appreciate you, but we do hope you stay at home today for the Capital One Orange Bowl, the college football playoff semifinal against OU Clemson. As always, thank you for joining us, EJ, Garrett. Let's hope that the Big 12 can pull one out. I never thought I'd say this, but go OU. And if you're watching this, be sure to check out all of our other bowl preview shows. We're doing all of these. We'll release them each as the week goes on. So go back and check on those and tell us what we did wrong. Be in awe of us of what we did right. But be sure to subscribe. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Boomer! Sorry, nobody's going to answer that.